Welcome to the Prof G Pod's Office Hours. This is the part of the show where we answer questions about business, big tech, entrepreneurship, and whatever else is on your mind. Today, we'll answer your questions about the current pharmacy staffing shortage, whether the U.S. college price tag is worth it, and how to navigate life transitions. I'm already intimidated. You know what? I don't know any more about this shit than you, but I don't know any less. First question.
Hi, Professor Galloway. My name is Man. I currently live in Washington State. My question to you is about the pharmacy workforce, because I'm a pharmacist. The pharmacy world is dealing with a shortage of technicians due to low wages. What do you think corporate need to do to provide incentives for the pharmacy technician?
What do I think? Supposedly, and I've read something about this, there is supposedly a looming pharmacy crisis in America, specifically staffing shortage due to increasing burnout among pharmacists. I guess a lot of boomers are just sick of this shit and retiring. According to the American Association of Colleges of Pharmacy, applications to pharmacy schools have declined 64% from nearly 100,000 in 2012 to about 36,000 in 2022. Data from the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine revealed that there were about 61,000 job postings for pharmacists in the first three quarters of 2023, but only about 13,000 pharmacists graduated in 2022. Why is this happening? What's going on here? Some workers have staged walkouts, including well-known protests called Pharmageddon. That's cute. That's cute. Pharmageddon, which involved 3 days of nationwide walkouts in CVS and Walgreens. What's being done to navigate the pharmacist shortage? National retailers, including Walgreens and CVS Health, are investing heavily in automation and micro-fulfillment centers where robots handle most of the tasks to streamline and reduce the workload. In February of this year, Walgreens announced a partnership with pharmacy school deans at 17 universities to increase student enrollment in pharmacy schools. So, okay, what's going on here? Theoretically speaking, if there's a crisis and a shortage, that would mean the market would naturally, on its own, intrinsically, need to offer greater wages, and you would see an increase in wages. Just as through the pandemic, we couldn't get any frontline workers or any staff or service workers back to, people just got sick of trying to get people to put their masks on and meanwhile putting their own health at risk for $9 an hour. And it does feel, and I think this is a good thing, that at the lower end of the wage scale, there was all this pent up bullshit or wages were too low. And all of a sudden, I don't want to say the dam broke, but basically these people said, this just isn't worth it. I'm not going to work this hard and put up with this bullshit to live below, the poverty line. And there was a massively overdue increase in wage pressure, which led to higher wages at the lower income level, which is a wonderful thing. At the end of the day, it's supply and demand. And I would think that over time, you're going to see wages rise among pharmacists, just as if you've seen wages rise among nurses. Now, if I were to say what is the culprit here, it's that an industry is too concentrated. One, I would argue, and I don't have the data here, but I would argue if I were to put forward a thesis around what's happened, it's one, regulatory capture by the pharmaceutical companies and hospital networks that have essentially starched out all the margin. And the frontline workers, the doctors and the pharmacists and the nurses have not kept anything near the pace of the increase in healthcare costs. It has gone to insurance companies who get 45 cents on the dollar for admin and profits. The best argument, in my opinion, for nationalizing medicine is 45 cents on the dollar gets starched out of the system by insurance companies. So if you pay $1 in insurance, you get 55 cents in care back. There's a pretty serious concentration around the front end. And that is, I think between CVS Health and Walgreens, I would imagine that it's pretty concentrated. There's not enough people bidding on the labor here. If there's really only two folks, and they themselves are struggling on the front end, they're facing some of the same pressures, I think, as frontline healthcare workers are facing, that they're not in a mood to be super generous. And quite frankly, they don't need to, because if they control the majority of the job listings around pharmacists, they kind of set the price. And again, I think it's another example of the concentration of power in an industry is not a good thing. I would argue that it's a interesting profession. I would think over the long term that the market will largely self-correct. It may take longer than it should because of this regulatory capture and this concentration of power that I was talking about. So there you go, man. Next question.
Hi, Scott. This is Florian from Zurich, Switzerland. I'm a father of two teenage boys about to graduate from the Swiss public school system. Their high school degrees will allow them to attend Swiss universities, where education is excellent and tuition is very affordable, between $1,000 and $2,000 US a year. Given this, would you still consider sending your sons to a US college despite the higher tuition fees? Is the differential in tuition fees warranted in your view?
According to the College Board, the average 2023-2024 price for tuition fees, housing, and food at private nonprofit four-year colleges is $56,000. I think at NYU, it's actually above $100,000 now. I think tuition is $72,000. I think it's well above 100. It's probably 110. And at four-year public colleges, in-state students face an average cost of about $24,000. I think those numbers are low. But anyways, according to the National Center for Education Statistics, the average price of college tuition fees and room and board has increased 155% between 1980 and 2023. Why? Because me and my colleagues every day look in the mirror when we wake up in the morning, we ask ourselves one question. How can I increase my compensation while decreasing my accountability? And there's a lot of good people in education, but be clear, we want to have a home in the Hamptons and have a nice life and pay for our own kids' overpriced college education as much as anybody else. And we have discovered the ultimate business strategy and LVMH strategy. Let's reject so many people through artificial scarcity by constraining supply unnecessarily, such that we can position ourselves as an aspirational luxury brand and raise our prices faster than inflation, and then hire a bunch of administrators who do interesting work that has absolutely no fucking impact on anything. See above: DEI, sustainability, leadership, ethics. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm going to teach my son, or I'm going to teach a kid at the age of 27 how to be more ethical. Yeah, good luck with that. Anyways, where are we? Okay, so this is the bottom line and what I would do. America does a small number of things really well. We make the best weapons in the world. Looking to kill a bunch of people? We're your retailer of choice. We make incredible software. And when I say software, I'm encompassing all technology. Another thing America does really well, distinct of the price, is the college experience. I'm pretty familiar with European universities. They're fine. They're better value. They give you the skills you need. They do not have the same brand equity, right? Michigan, Stanford, and Carnegie Mellon are global brands, right? The Bocconi is sort of. Essex, sort of. Cambridge and Oxford, definitely. But the other several thousand universities in Europe, no one's ever heard of. And I do think it's an advantage. We live in a LinkedIn information economy, and having a brand name U.S. university does give your kids an edge. Also, in terms of the experience, oh my gosh, we're so good at that. College football games, fraternities and sororities. Yeah, I said it. Fraternities and sororities are a wonderful experience for people. They shrink a big university down to a small number of people. By the way, fun fact that I used to tell people when I was the Interfraternity Council president at UCLA, no joke, that's right, I was king of the jarheads, was that the moment a kid joins a fraternity or sorority, they become much more likely to graduate. It's important to immediately find a group of people or a tribe or whatever to create that connective tissue. Anyways, the university experience, the U.S. university experience, land-grant schools, it is singular. It is singular. So what should you do? One, if your kids are up for it, apply to several U.S. colleges. Hopefully, this is what happens. Your son or your daughter get into 3 or 4. Actually, you said sons, teenage boys, plural. Get into 3 or 4 universities, and then this is what you do. You play them off against each other. Because the interesting thing about the university admissions process is we all want to get in, right? We're desperate to get in. But once we get in, they all want your kid because they have something called yield rates that has a huge impact on their rankings. And that is, if someone gets into Duke and UVA, they will announce or they will publish what the yield is. What do I mean by that? The yield between Columbia and NYU, that is people that got them to both schools, used to be like 90-10. Everyone went for the big brand prestige of Columbia. And then everyone wanted to be in Soho. And so now our yield, I think, is like 55-60 to 45-40. In other words, Columbia still gets a higher yield than us, but we're within striking distance of being at parity. Through no fault of our own, the faculty and administrators will take credit for the amazing work we've done at NYU. Some of that is true, but it's mostly because we live in the coolest neighborhood in the world. I'll stick to that. I think Soho is an amazing neighborhood. Anyways, ideally, and one, best laid plans, and then your teenage boys will tell you what they are doing. I like to think, it's so funny with parents. We think that we have so much influence over our kids, and the reality is they kind of come to and they make up their own mind. And if it is affordable and it's all else being equal, by all means, and again, it's up to them, the U.S. university experience is singular. I would recommend it to anyone globally. It's an amazing experience, something they would treasure the rest of their lives. Thanks for the question. We have one quick break before our final question. Stay with us. Welcome back. Question number 3.
Hello, Scott. I'm Thomas. I recently moved out of my hometown in Quebec to a new city, Montreal. This move allowed me to transfer to my company HQ, work on more interesting projects, and experience new and exciting things as I approach my mid-20s. I'm here with my girlfriend, and we live in a nice apartment downtown. It's great. However, I won't hide the fact that it's a significant change to absorb. I am particularly stressed about maintaining my close relationships from a distance and creating bonds with new people in Montreal. What advice would you have for someone like me who's in the middle of a life transition?
So first off, Thomas, one of the pieces of advice I give to young people about how to create the atmospherics for success is simple, and that is move to a city. And you've done that. You can be good in Montreal and get much further faster than if you were great in your hometown in Quebec. So moving to Montreal, moving to the big city, if you will, is an investment in yourself and is going to better leverage your skill set. Also, the fact that you moved there with your girlfriend, you're in a relationship. Do you realize only 1 out of 3 men under the age of 30 has a girlfriend? So, boss, I just have one word of advice for how to integrate and develop that kind of social capital you're looking for as a young man in a new city. Yes. Say yes to everything for a while. Say yes to drinks with coworkers, a coffee, ask people out, get your girlfriend's friends, invite other couples out, whatever it might be, do a dinner party, just kind of say yes to everything. And you're so fortunate to kind of hit the ground running there with a partner. That just makes things so much easier and you're not going to get as lonely. But just my brother, you're obviously a shit together guy. And you've got a partner in crime here. Just go out, be friendly, introduce yourself, get involved. Maybe if you play sports in a local league. I don't know if you're attend a church or a temple or a mosque, but get involved in the local chapter, what have you. And you kind of work through to get your squad, if you will. But the key is getting out of the house, saying yes to everything. Try to resist the temptation to just hang out with your girlfriend and watch Netflix all the time after a hard day's work. Get out, do stuff, join groups. But my brother, let's finish where we started. You're living in Montreal with your girlfriend after getting a job. It is good to be you, Thomas. Congratulations, and thanks for the question. That's all for this episode. If you'd like to submit a question, please email a voice recording to officehours@profgmedia.com. Again, that's officehours@profgmedia.com.